In the wake of Larry Barker's investigation into the dangerous state of BIA schools, the Senate Indian Affairs Committee will hold a hearing on the issue next week. Senator Tom Udall says he requested the hearing months ago as part of a push to come up with a plan to fix schools run by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. He says Larry's two investigative pieces last week underscored the neglect of BIA schools and the BIA's foot-dragging to fix those problems.
Well, tonight, Larry has a new target in his sights.
It's an outfit even bigger than the BIA. These guys are rough, tough, heavily armed, and highly skilled. Not people you want to mess with. But they've been messing with New Mexico.
This remote area is a recreational paradise in a primitive and untouched landscape until you look down.
Airburst simulator projectile.
There's ammo clips, smoke grenades, signal flares, artillery shells, bunkers, and ammo. Enough ammo to equip a small army. In fact, there's so much military hardware littering the landscape, it looks like someone fought a war here.
But this is not Afghanistan, and this is not a war zone. Welcome to the New Mexico outback in the Cibola National Forest. It's a rugged mountain wilderness where folks come to hike, camp, hunt, and conduct war games.
You see, several times a year, this part of the public forest is transformed into a simulated Afghanistan. It's in the Bear Mountains, north of Magdalena.
It includes special operations training, combat search and rescue, land navigation, tactics training to prepare our airmen for deployment.
Colonel Robert Abernathy is wing commander for Kirtland's 58th Operations Group.
We're fortunate to operate in an area that allows us some open space, so we have freedom of movement. And this particular area allows us that. It has some terrain relief. It has trees in which provide cover and concealment, so it's a more realistic training environment for our airmen to operate in.
The Special Ops Group leases thousands of acres in the National Forest to conduct training classes. They operate day and night. To keep conditions realistic, airmen use simulated grenades and projectiles, and they fire off tens of thousands of rounds of blank ammunition.
Military use of the forest is not the problem. They can shoot ammo, toss smoke grenades, and fire all the flares they want. But this is U.S. Forest Service property, and there's a policy here. Whatever you bring in, you got to take it out. This is the problem.
And here's a clip. It's got ammunition in it.
Yeah, it's got the blanks in it.
A smoke bomb. Now this kind of stuff, this shouldn't be left around.
No, I mean, they ought to be picking it up. You're right.
Dennis Aldrich supervises the Magdalena Ranger District. Walk the rugged backcountry here, and all you should find are stands of juniper, stark rock formations, and a pristine habitat. Today, the forest floor is littered with spent military paraphernalia. It's everywhere. Smoke grenades, spent canisters that simulate artillery fire, thousands of brass cartridges, and loads of military flares.
Does it belong in the National Forest?
No, they need to be picking it up.
Our requirement is that they police the areas when they're done.
Bob Suitkamp is a land use coordinator for the Forest Service.
We're not going to worry about the stray smoke grenade canister or something that falls, 20 miles from nowhere. But the concentrations of that material, we won't diminish our expectation just because it's remote. We'll still expect them to pick up after themselves because we want to maintain that natural character of the land.
We face a challenge whereby the students must, when they go through their final exercise, must operate in day and nighttime. And that's a difficult environment when you're operating in the mountains, in the woods, to pick up after yourself.
Colonel Abernathy says the 58th Wing does a superior job preparing airmen for deployment. But he admits they dropped the ball in the cleanup. The colonel says this won't happen again.
For our field training exercises, we've added one full additional day for cleanup. Once all the training is complete, then they spend that additional time cleaning up the site. We've also implemented a procedure by which we use GPS marking so that we ensure that we know everywhere we've been so we can go back to those places and pick up after ourselves.
The Air Force response was immediate. Shortly after we discovered the military litter, teams of airmen were dispatched to the vast training area. It was a search and recovery operation. Military personnel fanned out across the Cibola forest, picking up military artifacts. It's a huge job involving thousands of acres.
We need to be good stewards of the environment because we're not the only ones that enjoy that, the National Forest Service. So we have to leave it clean or cleaner than we found it.
Larry Barker, KRQE News 13.
In case you're wondering, the Air Force uses blank ammunition and simulated training devices during those operations. The debris we found in the National Forest is not a danger to the public, even if they still miss some after that big cleanup operation. You're not going to get blown up with that stuff.
That is good news right there, and quick results, too. All right.